Hello everybody, this is the map. This is the sand pit that we're in. When we left off the last game, what had just occurred was the vanquishing of a Leviathan that made and created a barrier that was covering the, well, that we now know as a bit of an army in the horizon and keeping it from view. This storm that was created was basically the lair of this. We're calling it the Sand Kraken. That's about as good as it gets. And it's a vast beast, but having now been destroyed, there's a stretch of nothingness where this huge vortex, this mass of swirling dust, sand, and crackling energy is now not there. And it's a clear view all the way through. At the end, we discovered that there was an approaching army. And so, in this desert, we find the players, each of them standing on the sand, having just stepped out of a very interesting genie's enclosure, belonging to Adri, looking around, seeing the army approaching. Adri, you rolled like a 30 or something on perception, didn't you? Is that right? I think it was
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So that happened, and yeah, so yeah, there it is. Adri, 30 perception, and so yeah, you sent a sandbag off into the sand to have a look to see if you could find a tunnel, and I think that's about as far as we got, really. That's where it started. So, what are you gonna do?
How far away is the approaching army, and have we got any idea of how quickly it's approaching us?
Yeah, so basically it's very far away because it's small. It's Totsi on the horizon. It's like a shimmer of darkness on the horizon. But with that roll of 30 on perception, and also with Sandbag telling you that there was something rumbling in the sand. Yeah, you don't know how far it's moving, only that it's getting bigger.
Has Sandbag appeared back with the location of that tunnel yet?
Not yet. It's not been that long since you sent him off. It's only been a matter of seconds rather than minutes or anything. So you're not quite sure where he is at the moment.
Odds on them being friendly?
Low, I think.
Minimal to non-existent.
They live in the sandstorm.
Exactly, and we made it such a nicer place.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say they moved in because of the sandstorm, not beforehand and just put up with it.
So, no sending someone to talk to them?
I'll go.
No.
What if we send someone up to just look at them and see what they're doing?
I can still teleport 500 feet. I can go.
That doesn't seem very far from an army.
I'm probably faster than most of them.
I'm definitely faster than most of them.
Yes, but I got a 500 foot head start.
And after that, you go about half as slow.
Is my movement speed.
We've still got our dragony friend for about another half an hour. Eldry just sort of reaches over and strokes the draconic spirit's head, where it's standing next to them.
What does this draconic spirit look like?
This particular one, I think, just looks like a dragon made from like fire and rock and flames, like it's sort of and smoke. Possibly would look like a red dragon, but just sort of more flamey.
Right. Flamey all over, not just from the mouth.
Yeah. I mean, Ildru's the one that's sort of calling forth these things. She has a definite aesthetic.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. So this fiery red spirit, this slightly sand-melting, standing on glass dragon, looks round at you. And it seems to understand, and its wings flap, unfurl, as if ready to take off, sensing your desire.
Does anyone want to go up?
How many would it carry?
Probably only one. Out of character, it's a large dragon, so I'm guessing it's probably only got a carrying capacity of like one person. Maybe?
It's got a pretty good strength.
That's true.
Trust that's only we. He can probably squeeze on with someone else.
Okay. I'm just checking to make sure that there's nothing in this thing that says that I have to be within a certain distance of it. Because that could get awkward really fast. I don't think...
And if there is, why don't you ride it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down for that. I just thought there might be others more suited to stealthy missions.
Oh, what is... Why are we riding it? Why are we doing recon? Are we trying to sneak up on it with a fiery dragon in the sky from an area that's just lost a...
I feel like not being noticed would probably be a good thing. But also I just figured we might be able to get a better view of how big the approaching swarm is from above. Because right now they're just kind of smeared across the horizon for us.
If only that was actually the case. Taking out the Kraken had just flattened the army at the same time. It'd be a very dull show for everyone, but...
Yeah.
Cool. And if you don't need to be within a range of it, then Adri's fine to go up if she's got the best perception.
I guess technically I definitely could wild shape actually into something small. And then the three of us could go up.
I mean, leaving anyone behind the murder hole seems like the best.
Also, Sandbag seems to really like him, so it might be easier to, like, talk to him when he returns.
Muted, bud.
We'll have a breath holding competition when he gets back.
Okay.
Shall we go up?
Yeah. Trying not to be seen. Trying to get a good look at them.
So,
Not want to get too close.
with the backdrop of the crystal mist mountains on one side behind you, okay, a fair distance away, and to, I guess, the left and right of you, the bookend of these giant maelstroms that are still firing. You haven't got rid of all of it, you just got rid of the 6 mile stretch. You want to be not visible. Yeah, I mean, we can definitely see how that goes. Kind of fiery red dragon. You're flying up against the white snow of the hills. Yeah, I could see that going well for you. So let's see what happens. You're going to try and fly casual. So you take off. The draconic spirit waits as you get on, and as soon as you're on it, extends its wings, and its frame takes off. None of you are being burned by being on it. It just kind of smoulders a bit, and up you go into the air. A bit of a spiral, flapping of the wings, and fairly quickly your vantage point changes considerably. And rather than seeing a shimmering mess on top of a pile of sand and beneath the sky, you see a rather disparate looking dots and blobs. Some seem to be moving quite quickly ahead. Give me a perception roll, everybody who's up there. Nothing that you see is trying to be unseen. Everything that you see is moving with great intent, and all of it in the direction that you are in. This gap in the wall and toward the mountains. Everything that you see moving across the sand is still a black dot, but you can see black dots not just moving across the sand at a great rate, but also you see black dots above the horizon. There is a space of sky beneath those black dots, which you assume is something flying. Some things. As you look closer and realise that it isn't just one dot. It appears that along with the retinue on the ground, there are some airborne. They're still far away. Are you going higher?
Now we're up high enough to be able to have a bit of a downward view on them. Have we got a better idea on speed they're moving? Some bits move. Some of the blobs are moving faster than others.
Aye.
Can we get a gauge from where we are? Can we get a gauge on roughly how long it's going to take them to arrive where Kylon is?
You spend just a little bit of time watching Adri. You're just looking, and you're picking out a couple of vague, shadowy landmarks that you can see on the sand, and you wait until it crosses one another, and you're thinking about this. They are moving forward, and then you watch the forward stop, and then the slower space at the back lumbers forward. They appear to be moving at the slowest speed of the overall group, sending what you assume to be scouts forward, and then waiting, and then moving forward again and waiting. They are still moving quickly. Certainly, you look up at the sky and see what looks to be a clear sky for, well, clouds are there, but no more storm. And you get the sense that the sun itself isn't particularly far off ending the day. So I think at this point you're going to be, yeah, it's getting a bit later in the day, probably approaching evening, and you would estimate that if the current progress of this concertina movement continues, then it's so hard to tell in the sand, but probably by morning you've maybe got a day, half a day on them.
And those dots in the sky, do they look like they're just kind of hovering, or have they got any distinct movement patterns to them?
In the time that you have been observing the ground forces, those airborne didn't slow like the others. They have maintained, as best as you can tell, their speed. If they are moving forward, then they're definitely ahead, or possibly just smaller. It's so difficult to judge distances like this. But yeah, as far as you can tell, they haven't stopped and they've kept moving.
Okay. So I believe we've got telepathic bond set up because we did that in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I will communicate that with everybody. Distance doesn't matter, so as long as we're on the same plane, so Kylon can hear it. And I guess it still works to wild-shaped druids?
Yeah.
Because it's not actually words, it's...
Yeah.
And I keep all my mental stats, so like...
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Do we wait? The flying things are going to probably get here ahead of the others. The ones on the ground, we've probably only got till morning.
We need to get information to send back to our Euphemia, and that should we try and figure out what these flying things are and then make an escape plan?
Possibly. I mean, Euphemia does also just want us back.
Yes.
With as much information as we can get, but the heavy caveat of they need us back in Nildra.
I have a
feel
couple
like
of...
an army might take precedence. It's quite a big caveat on.
I mean, it is going to keep coming regardless as to what happens to the monarchs.
Armies don't tend to move that quick. So if we can get a rough look at what's coming, give us more time for a plan. We know roughly where they are now, so we can find them again if we need to have another look.
It's getting late. We need to be somewhere safe, realistically. They probably won't arrive till morning, but who's to say they won't speed up and appear?
Well, I mean, they're probably going to be looking for whoever's just got rid of all of this sand.
Yeah.
Like...
So, maybe not being here?
Yeah. That seems wise.
Let them get here, then we approach them on our terms.
Or we just hide from them and observe them on our terms.
Yeah, potato.
From your vantage point, you look round towards the mountain. You look back towards Elskara. And you can see Elskara Narva there. It's still shrouded in mist and, well, sand blowing in off the desert. But it's there, right up to the foot of the mountain in the Drover's Path. It doesn't look that far away, but you might still be needing to move quickly to get there before exhaustion sets in.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Shall we go down?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I guess I ask the dragon spirit to take us down.
It obliges too. Somewhat sad that it wasn't going to get to stretch its wings a bit more, but down's still a direction. And off it goes. Kylon. You're looking up, you see the flame dragon clearly against the sky. You look out, and you see the shimmering mass, occasional glint of spears, the wind occasionally carrying the sound of cogs and gears and metal on metal. And you look around, waiting for Sandbag. In time, you see a familiar face popping out of the sand.
You find it?
He looks at you. There's not just one. Place is riddled with holes.
Are they hidden?
Underground. That's not all. The worst part. It's filled with things going along it. None of them look nice. None of them smell nice. None of them sound nice. Nothing at all pleasant.
Aren't they the same as that lot over there? And he points towards the army.
The heavy lot.
Yeah.
They're heavy. Those ones down there, not heavy. But a lot of them.
Which direction are they heading in?
His face disappears into the pile of sand and comes out the other side, pointing towards Elskara. That way.
Ah, shit. Guys, there's an underground army too. Kyon will say into the telepathic bond.
Bugger.
Fuck.
Things can't go our way, can they?
Well, I mean, technically, there's two armies going our way.
A very good point.
Sandbag, how good is your control over the sand?
I can control it very well. Watch. And you see him pick up a bit of sand. See?
I mean, on a very, very large scale.
Watch. And you see him just go totally flat. And then about an inch of sand appears. It's good, isn't it? You just see this flat face in a circle. Look, I've stretched myself right out.
Not quite what I was meaning, but it'll do. Those tunnels, what holds them up?
Some bits stones, some bits rock, other bits rocky stone, some bits gravel, but a lot of them. And it looks not like the one that the dragon made. It looks different, round. Something round made it. Something big and round. I had woodworm in the library. Woodworm, little things.
That
made holes
sounds
everywhere.
awful.
Terrible.
Truly, woodworm sounds awful for the library. Do you think you would be able to collapse the tunnels, or is that not something you're able to do?
That sounds like fun. How could I do it?
Digging away at the supports would do it.
I could try and do one. Maybe if I find the right bit. Take a while. There's a lot of tunnels down there. Why do they need so many tunnels?
There's a lot of them.
They're not going to my library, are they?
They might be. They're headed that direction.
Bastards. Oh. Oh. Well, where are your friends?
Head up there at the moment. And Kevin just kind of points up towards them.
And his head rolls around to the top and just stares. On that red thing. That really bright red thing that's flying up in the sky. That you can see for miles and miles.
That would be the one, yeah.
Not very subtle, is it?
Have you ever seen us be subtle?
That's a good point.
We like the drama.
Well, do you want me to go dig one of those tunnels? It'll be fun. Give that a shot.
Give it a try. See who you get on.
Never done this before. Right, I'm off. And he disappears into the sand again. Okay, and then a few minutes more and the bright red dragon arrives back down on the ground with everybody.
Mildred hops out of her wild-shaped form, and it's almost like this small, like, furry creature that she'd previously been inhabiting. Just sort of, this elf just sort of rises up out of it and stretches a little bit, and then her hand. Thank you, friend, and the draconic spirit just disappears. Because that is a concentration spell, and I no longer wish to concentrate on it.
Okay.
I've sent Sandbag to try and collapse a tunnel, see if he can.
Wonder if that pillar thing I've been using could work on the tunnels.
Doesn't it rise ground up?
It does, but I think if you placed it in the right spot, it might either block a tunnel or just, like, send it flying.
Mark, you need to know where to cache it, though.
This is true.
I get a perception check from you as you're basically just looking around, standing. Obviously, you're not at ease, knowing that underneath you and to the distance there's something going on. Adri knocking it out of the park with these rolls.
It's like you get me to do something other than an athletics check, you know, something she's actually good at, and occasionally it comes through.
You're looking back toward Elskara, and you're looking back toward where you saw the city. And you swear that you see a second of a shining white glint peeling off the mountain, this vast summit of Elskara.
I'm given that we know there is a white dragon up there. She's not going to be be in danger of confusing a white dragon with, I don't know, an avalanche.
Oh, I mean, there was definitely just a speck. It wasn't, okay. No. If that's the thing that you're between, then yeah, twixt a drop of snow and an avalanche, then it would be a drop. Yeah.
Okay. Well, getting away from the two approaching armies, finding any way we can to slow them down, and generally just getting the fuck out of Dodge. Have we got anything to try and collapse these tunnels?
Sandbags on it. I'm not sure how well he'll do.
If we've not got anything else we can do, should we just start moving? Or do we need to wait for him?
He seemed to think that the dragon hadn't dug these. They were different, he said.
I mean, we did see those worm things, the fire worms traveling down here. Remember?
Yeah. Weren't they messengers of some sort?
Yeah. I guess I have like bones of the earth. Maybe that would work on the tunnels if sandbags unable to do it. I just need to get something into a position where he can.
Sandbag appears next to you. And then he looks up and says, "Didn't work."
That's a shame.
They're still moving under there. There's almost more noise under there than there is up here.
How far away from us are they under there compared to that lot over there?
It would take me a lot longer to get to those ones over there than the ones down there.
How long does it take you to get to the ones down there?
Start counting. And he disappears.
Kyle and I'll count, I suppose.
Yeah, so about a minute or so passes, and he comes up and he reaches his hand out. Oh, you don't see his face, just see his hand, and he touches you, and then his face appears, and he's like, "Right, did it. What number have you got?" That many. That's how long it took.
Okay. So they're pretty close.
We should get moving.
I'd agree with that one.
So, I mean, through combinations of Misty Step, Thunder Step, and Dimension Door, we can speed ourselves up, but not significantly. So, Dimension Door only saves us about a minute of walking. Yes, I got the calculator out to figure that one out.
Speed equals distance over time. Love it. So we are moving then to the edges of Eldskar and Narvoit, the city at the foot of the giant mountain. But it is a vast ruin. It is a voluminous, old stone, once amazing, once beautiful city. Yeah. It's not quite as dusty as it was the last time you were there, but it still isn't easy to see. You haven't got much in the way of view distance. You are moving at a fair clip. You are not trying to be stealthy, is that correct? You're just basically moving as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I probably would have cast like Pass Without Trace just out of habit, but...
And Adri could cast Seeming. Make us all look like itty bitty krakens, or the culty guys, or
I vote Itty Bitty Krakens.
Okay. All right. So anybody watching from afar would see a whole bunch of terrifying small-legged monsters racing towards the city. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, for the next 8 hours, itty bitty krakens.
There you go. You travel.
who for like the first hour are pretty like stealthy.
I love seeming.
Yeah. Okay. Why has... There we go. There we go. So you arrive back in the city that you know. High walls, vast buildings, tight tunnels, doorways with no doors, darkness and sand and fallen rocks. Light is slowly failing, and you find yourself back in the city without any assistance from the dwarves this time. Yeah. What's your intention in the city?
First up, don't die. Is
Second,
there?
I guess.
Oh,
Is the army still moving? Suppose you should check if that army's still moving or they're stopping.
Right. Yeah, roll perception. Because you're moving now. And as you disappear into the depths of the city, you take one final look back to the horizon. The light now almost gone.
I see everything.
LG, it's so difficult to tell, but you think you've probably gained distance on them. You were moving faster than them, most likely. But still, these things in the sky.
Sandbag. What about the army underground?
Sandbag peers out from the side of Kylon's bag and he says, "What? The things underground that are moving?
Yeah.
There's lots of them. But they're moving quick.
Can you check how far away they are now?
Put me down over there in that pile of... It's not even proper sand. Terrible stuff. Look at it. It's made with like bits of grit and probably ground up bones. Vile. Anyway, go on, put me there.
Okay, I'll empty the bag out.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what he can do while he's here. I'm gonna give him advantage on that. Just yeah, okay, there we go. That's better. Just because he's got tremor sense, and that helps him. Why not? He knows what he's looking for. He says, "I can still feel movement underground. It's faint, but they're still moving. Either that, or they've turned to water and they're just pouring their way down."
Is that about the time of day would expect an army to be stopping and setting up camp? Or is it still a bit early yet?
An army of known quantity, sure, yeah, it's getting late. But they're underground, so you don't know. You look round. Haunted light shining through the dust, wind whipping through the city. And you hear a roar in the air. A large, long, deep roar. And it goes on and on. It's not that close, but you reckon it. Well, roll perception if you want to know where, but it's basically audible to you guys. It's in the city. Definitely in the city.
I wonder what that thing's problem is.
Well, if we're lucky, that thing's problem is the army, not us.
Are we ever that lucky?
sure it must have happened once. There was that time. Don't 4 years ago. We're being chased. We ran into the room. Group of bad guys in front of us. Group of bad guys behind us. They hated each other. We ducked out a side door. They squabbled aggressively, and we just came back and the survivors.
Oh, I remember that. We got 2 bounties instead of 1. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Very successful mission.
Yeah, someone was talking how it was kind of Doom-like, which didn't really mean much to me at the time.
Are you going anywhere? Are you doing anything?
Probably not standing out in the open arguing about our previous missions.
Yeah.
Kylon identify what made that sound?
Adri and LG can. So the way you could identify it is by asking them or hearing or listening to their conversation. And Karsa, I'm just going to give you that as well. Because
I mean, rather than where it was, more
what it
made
was,
like,
yeah.
what it was.
Aldo, it sounds like something that Kylon wants to fight. That's how Kylon perceives it. It's just like, that sounds like a big challenge. More specifically, Adri, LG, Karsat, you're able to discern that particular roar because you've heard it before several times in Stone Shield. That particular roar belongs to a very large and very old and very grumpy white dragon.
Seriously though, what is that thing's problem? We got rid of the blue one for it.
To be fair, might be that it might get lucky. But might be here to deal with that other problem chasing.
It might be trying to find us to reward us.
With death, or...?
You've got as a nice statue.
With a glorious fight, obviously.
Or ringside seats to it wiping out an army.
OIP.
That would also be quite good.
Just think of all the things we could learn about how not to fight a dragon by watching a dragon take out an army. Educational. And with that in mind, Adri is going to articulate it far better than I am, but we're going to want to be somewhere high up, somewhere defensible, somewhere we can preferably keep an eye on the direction that the overground army is coming from, and have as much 360 vision as possible. So she is going to be using memory of having come through before, any knowledge that Sandbag has got, just general observation of what's around, but that's the kind of thing she's going to be looking for.
When you were travelling through and talking to Gardain, you know that a lot of the city is rack and ruin, but some of the central parts of it are still somewhat well kept. But the problem is the visibility is just awful. The dust that's still blowing in from the remnants of the storms that are still in action, whilst it's less than it was and certainly doesn't seem to be as wild as you have experienced, it's still quite difficult to see very far. So your visibility is still fairly low. The good thing about that, though, is it also makes it easier to hide. So that's something. And you are walking through the city still as you find your way through various parts of the city. You make your way through. Again, you hear the roar, just going, just rumbling. Karsat.
Hello?
Something strikes you particularly with knowledge of dragons. The fact that you've spent time in worship and the time. This particular sound that you're hearing sounds like a challenge. It sounds like a call of some sort of. You've heard this before. You've heard maybe some of your elders mimic it during times trials, perhaps. You've heard this kind of call, this kind of roar. It just, as you're hearing it again, you're minded. This sounds like a challenge, and you're trying to work it out. And you're like, well, what? They can't see. You're pretty sure they can't see you. Can't see you. They can't see the army because you can't. And you're thinking about this, and it's like, it's here to. It's for the fallen blue dragon. That's what you're thinking.
That's a point. We never told it, did we? We buggered off. So Karsat will turn to us and go, that sounds like a dragon challenging a dragon. Do you think the dwarves ever got around to telling it that we, killed the other one?
They didn't think it would take
so.
that long to get back.
I mean, their lives kind of depended on them telling it, so.
How, DM question. How long has it been since we left the dwarves, and how long did it take the dwarves to get to the point where we left them from leaving Stone Shield, if that makes sense? Because they might have had enough time to actually go and find the dragon. I think I quickly assume.
It was day 3 when you first encountered the white dragon, and it was day 4 when you completed the Drover's Path and arrived at the library. And it was the 5th day that you were still started in the library, defeated the dragon, then rolled for a treehouse. And it wasn't until this day that you actually left the sand, travelled through the storm, defeated the Leviathan, and now heading back to the city again. So you're in the outskirts of the city. It was only yesterday, and it was like...
So they've probably not had time to kill the dragon.
Yeah, so... Okay. Do we want to get its attention and let it know we kept our end of the deal and hope it's not already turned Stone Shield into a very tall icicle?
Didn't we take something as proof?
Oh, Kylan has several dragon teeth. How many does he have?
Enough that Karsat will be annoyed you have them?
I have 5.
That's it. So, who has a way to get its attention?
I mean, we probably just need something big and lighty, yes?
Probably.
I assume we're somewhere up high at the moment.
Yeah. You can be up one of these buildings. You find a staircase and you walk up, checking to make sure that there's nothing sneaking in the shadows. But this place is pretty empty, so you're okay. You arrive on the roof, and you can see across other rooftops well enough. And the view that you have is ended by the diffuse light of the sunset through the dust in the air. Sand, the crit, whatever it is that makes up the composition of this. You're not close to the water runoff yet. You know the air's a bit clearer towards the mountains. But here at the edge of the desert, it's still not great.
Kyle will turn to others. Do we want to attract its attention then?
That's one way to do it.
Does anyone have a non-lethal for us way of gaining its attention?
I can use prestidigitation to do sparks and sounds.
Have we even seen it yet? We just heard the roar.
You've heard it.
God.
Haven't seen it.
I mean, give it a...
I've got create.
Did the dragon only speak Draconic when we encountered it before, or did it speak Common as well?
That's a good question.
In Draconic.
You are I think it did. Let me just double check, but I think it spoke both.
Cool.
Yeah, it spoke both.
Cool. Oh, and Rachel cast comprehend languages though.
Okay.
Prestidigitation.
I've got create bonfire.
I feel like the more noise we make, better. Might get us attention quicker. Might also get other things attention too. We can bank on most things hiding from
I mean,
the
army,
massive white dragon.
that army's still a ways away from, isn't it? I don't think trying to get the dragon's attention will end much.
Hopefully not. Shall we then?
Let's.
Put on a bit of a show. A big bonfire.
And a lot
Noise.
of sparks.
Sparks. Karsat's impression of a dragon.
I'm glad Draconic roared, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think nothing that you have suggested seems like it would not at least go towards the intention of summoning or making yourself known. All right, that seems reasonable. What about having a performance roll from y'all? Just to see how this goes.
Dear God.
Group effort.
It's like the one charisma I've not got bonuses for.
Anything for Oh, I'm actually proficient in performance. Surprising.
Blade dancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Singer, whatever they're called.
Okay.
Just knew it was charisma and thought, oh dear.
Ildri's love of fire. And a certain dragon's hatred of it. What a perfect way to attract attention. A large conflagration leaps up. I think you might have overdone it just a little bit, Ildri.
This is perfect.
The magic, it's not just the magic bonfire, but the fact that you managed to set the roof on fire as well, which was kind of good. I think that's probably what did it. The wooden beams around begin to ignite, and smoke drifts into the sandy, dusty dusk. And again,
We might have to find somewhere else to shop.
Yeah, probably quickly making your escape down the stairs, and you find yourself back in the streets. The smoke wafting down, you can smell the burning of the building as it passes into a different part of the building. Good job in setting the city on fire. Isn't that what you've always wanted to do? And now, what perfect place to do it, the remainder of the wood in this part of the city. Fortunately, you're quite far away from the centre, so it's probably not going to spread to the library, probably. I mean, we can roll for that later. But before too long, you hear a roar, but a different type of roar. And a loft of stone crumbles down from above you. As two sets of giant talons grip the edge of the building above you, about 6 stories up. And the head peers down through the mist, through the dust, through the dusk, the smoke, and says to you, as you see its giant face, white, gleaming eyes, it's the blue one. And it jumps off the top of the side and lands next to you, and its neck cranes out towards you until the snout of this beast is only feet away from you, and it finds you, Karsat, and it turns its head so its eye is staring right at you. And as it does so, you can see its huge jaws, fangs taller than Kylon. And it tries to talk quietly in Draconic. And in Draconic, you hear it say, "Where is it?"
Karsat will respond in Draconic. Buried under many tons of sand? Not breathing, dead. We have teeth if you want to see.
It steps slightly to the side and lifts its neck and brings its other eye to look at you from the other side of its head. It fills the courtyard in front of you. Its wings coupled round, its forelegs just keeping it steady on the loose rocks. Show me.
Karsat will do telepathic bond and say to Kylon, do you want to pull out some dragon teeth?
Sure. Kylan will pull out one of the dragon teeth that he's got.
Yeah, one of the big ones. And you put it out. The dragon stretches out slightly to turn its head towards you, Kylan, and sniffs just this huge intake of air.
You can have one, but I need the rest for showing off purposes.
You can barely be sure it hurts you because the wind rushing around your ears from its inhale is vast. And it takes a step back from you. You say it's dead. And it lets off this terrible, horrible, half roar, half laugh.
Yes. There's not a lot of it left. But we managed to get some teeth.
And did you relieve it of its possessions?
I think Mud's frozen.
I just thought he was going for the dramatic silence one. What a pause. Excellent. We might be losing him soon. There we go. He's back.
Hello? That was awkward.
That's just nice. I'm not the one freezing and cutting out.
That's not even the first time that happened. It's just the first time I was speaking during the middle.
He says the dragon says in common, did you relieve it of all of its possessions, or did you leave something?
Didn't have any possessions, did it?
He had loot.
Did I have loot? Did we take it?
Little bits.
Yeah, we
Like what we
can't
found.
look.
But there wasn't much. That's why I've got the teeth. It was a rather unimpressive hoard for a dragon.
I knew it, pathetic creature it was. It continues to walk around you, and it thinks for a minute, and it says to you, "Are you running from the army?"
More we've completed what we came here to deal with, and they seem rather annoying.
And we've been summoned back to where we came.
Do you know what they are by chance? We didn't stop to get a close look.
I think I'll go and pay a visit and find out. It seems they are heading my way.
They have beasts with them that are creating a storm. They're not pleasant if you...
Big tentacly things that eat you.
Yes.
That was not fun.
You think I'm scared of anything that the sea of dust can throw in my direction a mere speck of sand. And he stretches out his wings and just flies a massive backdraft. And he takes off up and away into the night.
Well, I was going to ask if he wanted company to decimate an army, but it seems he's left without me.
I think he'd probably be offended if you asked him that, to be honest. Seemed pretty proud of himself.
But I feel like decimating an army with a dragon would be a great story.
Sorry, I've got visions of using a white dragon like a flamethrower. Don't like shooting from the hip.
That's exactly what Kylan's imagining.
So, shall we keep going?
Yeah, that seems like a good idea.
Keep going where?
Where were we going before?
Away from the burning building above you.
That seems prudent.
Pretty much. So, same criteria as before. Somewhere high, 360 vision. Please don't burn it this time, Ildry.
But it looks so pretty all flaming like that.
You stay here with this one. We'll go and find somewhere that's not quite so flammable.
Ildry just kind of like drops concentration on create bonfire, which possibly gets rid of the initial fire, but depending on where else it's like spread, does not get rid of all of it.
There's still fire. Quite a bit of fire. Old wooden timbers. Yeah, they're dry in the sand. It seems to be spreading a fair bit.
Yeah. I'll just say Adri would have, if Seeming was still up, depending on how long it took us to get back to Alskara, Adri would have dropped it before the dragon appeared. So we weren't.
It's not concentration.
It's not, but I can drop it any time.
Aww. I wanted to talk to the dragon as many krakens.
The action lasts for the spell lasts for the duration unless you use your action to dismiss it sooner.
That's very upsetting.
You continue through the city. It's getting dark. You're looking for somewhere to hole up for the night? Or are you looking for somewhere to keep watch? Or a bit of both?
Bit of both.
Well, I think you know what that means. Day 7
Roll for
approaches.
treehouse.
Roll for treehouse. Who's going to do it?
Who rolled last time and won?
I did. That means it's somebody else's turn.
And it's definitely not Cannon's.
What kind of roll is it?
Survival.
Survival.
How's your survival rate?
I mean, it's better than my athletics.
What roll?
Yeah, I mean, I can't get a negative number on this one, so that at least is a start.
Yes!
No fucking way.
Oh, I love this game so much.
No fucking way. No, you didn't. That's not. Seriously, that couldn't be better. And also, wow.
I'm so glad I didn't roll.
I
Can we have a
swear.
treehouse now?
Treehouse in the middle of the city, please.
Oh my goodness gracious. Wow, okay. So, alright, I got this. You're walking about in the city, away from the smoke, and you find a part of the city you hadn't seen before, which has got a almost clear, kind of less murky looking water, which might suggest you're closer to the mountains and it's a bit clearer and hasn't picked up so much scum. And it spreads itself into a series of ornate water features in a big, almost plaza. Now, there are fallen rocks here, there are buildings that have crumbled, there are features that maybe once were standing grand are no longer and are piles of rock. But unlike just about every other part of the city, there is actually some green here, and it's not the festering dead stuff that you've seen. It's almost a real colour. And in the middle of that, there is a very large hole. And in the middle of the large hole is a stone plinth. And in the middle of the stone plinth grows a tree. And the tree grows up. You cannot see the top of it. It is lost amongst the sand and the dust in the air. This tree is in excess of 100 meters in diameter. It is vast. How did you not see it before? Gardain never mentioned it. But then again, you can only see about 100 meters anyway in the dust, so possibly that's it. And around the bottom of the tree is a caravan. A series of beasts of burden. Some you recognise, some you don't. And a group of traders? The various trinkets hanging off. And they're talking excitedly to each other. There's a bridge over the gap. And at the bottom of the treehouse, the various caravan beasts are grazing on the grass and drinking water from one of the water features. And there's a bridge over the hole. It's almost like a moat. As you look to the moat, you look down, and it goes down quite far. Goes down quite deep. Not like it could be a tourist attraction or anything. It's not that exciting. But still, once upon a time, it could have been something, a feature. Maybe it had water and it's all drained away. You're not sure. But the bridge still, it looks strong, made of stone, and across to this plinth.
Good find.
Let's go say hello.
These sort of things pop up a lot more often than I remember them previously to our adventure.
You've just got more talent. We're just primed to look for them. It's like if you think about the colour red and then look around you, you will see the things that are red more than anything else. We just think treehouse and therefore see the tree houses.
Perfectly logical explanation.
Shall we go forth?
Let's.
Okay. You walk towards the bridge, and the members of the caravan look up. They appear to be well dressed against the dust. Their faces covered, hoods up, masks over their eyes. Their hands are bound with gloves. Their feet and almost covered in large coats that go down to the bottom of the ground and cover all but their boots. They're carrying weapons, but on the whole, they seem hardy, resilient. They look like they're built for surviving in this kind of situation. The wagons look sturdy. You recognize, well, whether the party recognizes them, but the group recognizes camels. The wagons are covered in thick canvas. Yeah, they look pretty hardy. There's blankets over some of the beasts. And as you approach them, they look up warily. Watch you as you continue to walk around the plinth. They stop what they're doing and look at you. Do you continue walking?
Are they looking at us with curiosity or with hands on swords?
Curiosity. They don't seem to be aggressive.
Okay.
Alan, almost completely oblivious to them, is walking forward, staring at the tree.
A tree is vast. And there is a very large cutting in the edge of the tree. It's huge. Massive. 70 foot tall in this tree. As you walk past the caravan, you see that they're dressed in not uniform. While similar in function, the nature of their dress very different. Different materials, different colours. Some are wearing ornate headdresses. And you also see on the back of one of the caravans has been collapsed. Goods, fabrics, possibly even metals.
I guess we'd make small talk, any pleasantries, if we're wanting to share the space with them. That they're already here, they might know things, but we're kind of wanting to get to... We're not wanting to be massively sociable, or at least Adri isn't. Kind of just wanting to get in somewhere where they've got the visibility, they can see what's going on with the dragon, get an idea of what's going on with the army, and just... yeah. The fact there are two armies coming fast in this direction isn't far from the top of Adri's mind at the moment.
Yeah. A I think Ildry's got, like, there's a few things that she would like to do before we either rest or continue on. She definitely wants to send a message to FEMA and just let her know what we've found, if that's possible, and then maybe we can make some decisions from there about what we do, whether or not we try and head back or we hang around and get more info.
Okay. Kylon, there's stairs leading up from the ground where you are, up this giant staircase itself isn't huge, but the space it takes up with the tree seems to wind round this vast tree and up.
Kyle will probably be sticking fairly close to the rest of the group at this point, just with two armies kicking about. It seems a good idea to wander off.
Yeah. So you are making pleasantries with you approach the group, and somebody steps forward. One of these characters step forward as you approach them, and they say, and nod.
Do any of us know the language?
No, probably not. It sounds like common, but like a completely different version of it. Less about the fact that you think it's different. It's like a language, but you can't figure it out. It's not like anything that you've heard.
It's not undercommon, is it?
No, but it is somewhat. It's got that sort of element to it. It's like that. It's like a sort of version of common that you might reasonably expect to hear. It's just you can't quite focus on the word. So, yeah, you reckon it's probably a dialect. You begin to think, well, maybe these are people that actually live in the Sea of Dust. Maybe these are people who call the Sea of Dust home. Maybe these are the people who've managed to continue on despite that and not fallen foul to Neryl's armies, Neryl's existence.
Carter just run through a bunch of greetings in the different languages he knows, see if it takes. So common, celestial, draconic, elvish, and primordial. If anything takes.
Well, they see that you're trying to make efforts. They understand that you're not here hostile. You're not, you've not got weapons. You've not got, and they say, "Oh, come here," and they usher you over to the cart.
Sure.
And on the back of the cart, they show you goods, fairly standard trading goods. But these guys appear to be traders. And while you're looking through the stuff, you hear someone come over, and isn't like the others. Not dressed in the way, dressed almost like a merchant from a city. And he is wearing very fine, a purple colour trouser and jacket, and shoes. He looks human, and he walks up to you and says, "Hello, welcome to my treehouse. My name is Mr. House, and this is my tree. It's good that you find your way here, and I am happy. You must come upstairs and avail yourself of the facilities. Or if you prefer, stay and trade."
Seems a very big tree for a very small person.
I inherited it from my grandfather. He was much taller than me. And his grandfather, he was much taller than him. Some people say that we are so tall we are descended from giants.
That would explain the size of the tree. I thank you for your offer, coming in and seeing the facilities. Fits perfectly with our with what we were hoping. So, yes, we'll go ways guiding, follow him, whatever is.
Yeah, so if you're not
Yep.
taken up with the trade and they say, "That's nothing," then they point like it's some sort of wave, and off you go up into the treehouse. And yeah, with a natural 20 being rolled, and as is tradition whenever you make these rolls and you get a natural 20, which is almost every time.
It's a group
We just know
effort.
you love. We just know you love coming up with tree houses.
Yeah.
And
You're
the folks in them.
so kind and thoughtful and generous and sharing. Of course, we have a treehouse in the midst of a desolate city that's been dead for years. Half of it now on fire, the other half of it destroyed by a dragon. And in the middle of it all, this amazing treehouse inherited by Mr. House. And this treehouse is, as you would expect, as opulent as you like. The windows are all closed to keep out the dust. There are a group of humans up there helping to maintain the place and keep it clean. They seem to be making a living. He explains that this is one of the remaining trading hubs, and people who live in the Sea of Dust and haven't fallen behind the wall come to trade, hoping that they'd be able to trade with the dwarves, who have gone mysteriously silent and haven't been seen for a long time. And hopes as well of rebuilding the city one day and returning it to his former glory. But yes, with that, is there any business that you would like to attend to from within the safety of this opulent? And shall we take a break at this point as well?
Yes.
Yes.
That would be
And we
good.
can come back and wrap up to see what happens next. We are at the end of a road. We are at the end of a very long road. We've been playing this campaign for 11 weeks. This is the final episode in this chapter, at least. Our characters have taken down a defensive vortex, a maelstrom that was surrounding the Sea of Dust, to reveal an approaching army. And with their friendly sandbag, animated bag of sand, was able to travel through and down into the ground to some tunnels that they believed would help them escape, only to discover that they too were filled with invading forces. Neryl's disciples have decided that now is a good time to move toward Keoland and the homes of our adventurers, who were sent to find out what was happening. Through a series of fortunate events which somehow magically happen every time we play this game, a natural 20 was rolled on a survival, which we fondly know as Roll for Treehouse. And thus, you find the party amidst a city that has long been abandoned and left to ruin, huge buildings and amazing architecture crumbling in the sands. They find a treehouse against all odds, one that has trade caravans around it, and a rather natty dressed Mr. House, the proprietor of the establishment that they are now in. They are sumptuous. The rooms in this treehouse are built almost to the standard of the elves, but much larger, peculiarly so. Everything seems to be big, not in a dwarven style of large, but just big. The seats themselves are normal size, but the doorways and gaps in between, the windows, in a treehouse. Why go to this much effort? Everything is solid. It feels very robust, and the tree itself is absolutely vast. Looking out of the window, you see it's dark outside. Inside, you have the warmth of a fire, comfy surroundings, even some bookshelves with books upon them, and a number of beings rushing around, keeping the whole place ticking over. From below, you hear the bellowing of some strange animals. They look like they're well suited for the sand, pulling the caravans that you were offered some trade with, but did not take up the offer. And there you are. You are left to your own devices in a room.
Shall I see what our dragon friend is up to?
If you can.
I'd like to try scrying for the dragon.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're going to scry. How does this work on the move? What are you using?
I'm just gonna like basically sit down somewhere, and I've got like a mirror with me or something along those lines that I've been using. I use scry a fair bit, so like I would have the equipment necessary for it.
You definitely use scry a lot, yeah.
And because we've met the target, I think it's basically just a flat. They have to basically roll an 18 or above on their wisdom saving throw. Because I don't necessarily think it goes either. Like, there's no way to go up and down. Beyond that, I've met the target, so...
Yeah. Okay. So, I am... What am I rolling here for a wisdom save?
Yeah.
It fails.
Nice. So I've got basically 10 feet around it. I can see what it's doing.
10 feet around it, it's moving very quickly. Every now and again, you see a large black claw reaching into your vision and then retreating again. 10 feet around it, you see dark wings. It's pretty dark at the moment, and every now and again you see the glitter of ice emanating from its jaw. It appears to be in the midst of airborne battle.
Okay. I'll hold that for like 10 minutes, or basically as long, and just see what happens through the rest of the fight.
Whatever these things are, they are no match for this ancient beast. They look smaller. They seem fast. Certainly a few hits are landed, and occasionally around the body you see scale being separated momentarily and some blood. But beyond that, in this light, you don't see much. And you certainly can't make out much at all about what these beasts that it's attacking are.
Does it look like the thing that gave us our name? Because we fought, in order to get our Shadow Wings name, we did fight some, like, undead dragon-y things.
Roll perception at disadvantage because it's dark. And you're scrying. No, you're not sure. You can't make it out. These things have talons, certainly, but there seems to be a lot of them, or you get the sense that the jaws that rip into these things, just crunching them apart, they are definitely smaller than you remember fighting. So these things are mobile, but at the moment it appears they're being held at bay by this white dragon.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to make use of the 10 minutes, and if anything interesting happens later.
So you keep glancing down at this, and it's more or less the same story. Occasional breaks, and then again rolling around. The movement of this is fast. Quite agile, this beast, given its age. And it seems to be fighting fiercely. There never is a moment where its claws aren't moving or its jaws aren't snapping. Then every now and again you see the blast of ice coming from its mouth as it seems to freeze things in the air that drop out. So yeah, it's as much as you can tell within the limitation of the scry. It seems to be doing very well for itself.
Well, I guess that's probably a good thing, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it'll be pissed off at me scrying it. Who knows? But I'm going to pass that information on to the rest. I'm just going to be like, look, it's currently fighting things. I'm not 100% sure what.
So much fun to have joined it.
Yeah. I don't know. They look kind of spooky. And slicey.
I could have taken the airstrips and I could have slaughtered the ground ones.
I suppose. Should we perhaps get in contact with Euphemia and see what she has to say about all of this?
Yeah. So, Adri, get out the book. Start writing in it. Again, well practiced at condensing things down into essentially bullet points of no more than 25 words to send over the pertinent information. When did we last? It was only while we were in the ring that we last did this with her for the ring nap. So this would be army above ground, army below ground. Killing the Kraken cleared the about a 6 mile chunk of the storm, definitely more of the Krakens for the rest of the storm to be going round. And oh shit, white dragon, kind of on our side, dealing with flying stuff in the air, kind of on our side for now. So all of that in bullet point, and each bullet Euphemia can reply to as their individual separate sendings.
Okay. You know Euphemia's style. She always listens to what you have to say before she replies with anything new. She wants to make sure that she gets the fullest of your report. And she asks, what of the observers?
The dwarves? Or specific observers?
And she writes back and says, no worries, you've cleared the path. They'll see. Well done.
So, Adri would have, like, whatever she is, whenever she writes something, she is saying it out loud so the others know. She's reading out loud back what Euphemia says. The observers, they were talked about when we first arrived at Stone Shield. The dwarves were talking about the observers. They were using hushed tones. They didn't really want to talk to us about them, and kind of changed the topic whenever we were there. Oh my god, it's been a week. We asked somebody more information. I've got a feeling a dragon someone laughed at and was quite derogatory about the observers. She says, frantically flicking back through her notes. But we have not encountered anyone since then who uses anything like observers, and I think they were higher up the mountain. I could be making that up.
Oh, that's right.
Does she want us to return?
What do you want us to do? Stay and fight? Gather information? Come back.
The page in front of you is blank for a while. You look down at the page as the words slower appear on the page. The word Neildra appears, is on fire. Lower quarter destroyed. Now under control. Suspect insurgency, internal strife. Gather what information you can and get back. Need you here.
Can we gather any more information? Like, at this point we know that there is an army approaching across the thing. I guess the only thing that we could really figure out is what's in it.
I don't think that makes much difference.
Would we be better
fight
served just heading straight back?
If we know what's in that army, or don't know, either way we fight it. I don't see it giving us an advantage.
if we know what it is, if we can find out what that army is comprised of before we go, and Adju will put out that the token that cannon fodder Gardain gave us. I'm pretty confident this will get us back to Stone Shield, and from there there's the teleportation circle we came through. That'll get us back to Nildra. If we know what is in that army, if we can figure out what it is or what any of its weaknesses are, or at least what doesn't work against it, that'll help bring down the Sea of Dust. Another few hours here can't hurt, surely.
The words appear again on the page. Assassination on King and Queen failed. Fire suspected. Diversion. They got closer than ever before. We need more eyes in the city. Do any of you have a pub or any holdings in the lower quarters? The poorer areas, the poorer part of town.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
we did.
I think there's
Definitely one. Yeah, I think it's Kylos and Karsats are kicking about there.
Yeah, mine's in the Craftsman district, which I think is in the lower quarter.
Didn't we also have? Isn't the Crank and Rose there as well?
Which one was that?
That's Thea's.
Yeah, that's in the lower one as well, because that's where things happened previously.
So as you begin to cast your mind back home and all the things that you have, the thought of fire ripping through there sounds terrible. You know how much that place is made of wood and how old it is. And you know that there's not huge amounts of abilities to put out fires when they have started in the past. You hope that that which you have stored, created, built up, will still be there when you get back.
Out of curiosity, where would University Library kind of effort be? As player, I don't know Nildra at all. Anything threatened Adri's books?
No,
Fuck this army.
you'd be,
Right.
I think you'd be safe in that part of town. You'd be all right.
This is our last night. We go home tomorrow. Let's get what we can.
Yeah.
Kill some buggers if we can as well. Maybe confirm that the dragon's on our side?
I mean, it's ripping into the army, so for now,
I
yes.
mean, it might be self-defense, but
It seemed to fly in there of its own accord to rip it apart, so...
But I wouldn't bet on it not having a go at us. Currently aligned, definitely not allied.
Probably fair.
do you think perhaps Euphemia might appreciate some more help? Like, that's not us.
Well, from the sound of it, the entire city's burning, so Yes?
What if we... Do you think giving them Vistra's name would be? Perhaps they can recruit the others to at least help clear up whatever's going on there in the meantime.
I mean, they're certainly capable. Do you want to bring them closer to you, though?
I don't know that it's about what I want anymore. It's about keeping the city safe.
So you're fine. You can just turn into a rat or whatever and run away.
A rat? Really?
A fiery rat?
Hiding from your problem.
Rude. But they are, for the most part, reasonably capable adventurers. It would probably give them at least a little bit of help till we can get back.
True. We can pass the name along and then see what trouble we can get in here before we return.
Yes. Would you mind passing along Vistra Hammerstone to her?
I can. One more message back to Euphemia. See if you can find. It's 25 words, but it's like see if you can find Vistra Hammerstone. Recently arrived in the city. I know her mother. She's good. Rest of the party, yeah, interesting.
One word for it.
And Euphemia writes back and says, thanks, recommendation. Need all help we can get. It's going to be interesting. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Probably should have written, don't trust the little one.
I should figure it out. Isn't Euphemia like halfling? No, she's
halfling, yeah.
little.
She is, and in all honesty, she has a collection of stolen teapots. I think she'd probably enjoy Lyle's bullshittery.
Okay, what's your plan? What are you going to do?
Combination of rests, watches, trying to make sure that we've got a view of what's coming.
I could try scrying again.
On the dragon?
Yeah, or apparently I didn't read the spell thing at all, because apparently I can target a location that I've seen before as well. So that might be helpful.
Target the building you set on fire. I assume that fire's still going.
But that's only like 10 feet of range. Whereas if I target it over the top of an army, or near there, or I guess I could just target the dragon again, to be honest. Unless you want to see the city burning down. I feel like we'll get a sense of that before it becomes a problem, though.
I think we'll see the city burning down as soon as we step in.
Yeah. The other option I have is that I could also scry Neil Dra and just see what's happening.
We're planning on returning soon. Maybe save what we have for this last part of the mission.
Yeah, alright. So, dragon or desert?
I doubt the dragon stayed the next couple of days. Probably desert?
Okay.
Can you be precise enough when you're scrying? Because there's quite a lot of desert.
This is true.
And the army's probably moved. If
Well, they
nothing
were
else,
coming up to where we were. So if I scried to where we were, it might be able to... Nah, maybe not. Maybe the dragon's a better choice.
The dragon was in amongst them.
Yes.
at least let us know if it's still fighting.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's do that.
Scrying.
I'm scrying the dragon again.
The dragon appears to be flying, but not fighting.
Okay. Is it flying? Does it look injured?
Yeah, a little bit, but not badly. You notice a couple of red flecks where it's maybe been hurt, but no, it seems pretty intact. Seems to be enjoying itself. I should probably roll to see if it recognizes your scrying, right? Let's do that.
Yeah, that's possibly wise.
Without being in it knows you're casting the spell. It doesn't know you're casting it. So yeah, you get on a failed save. Yeah, so you basically you start to see the dragon flying, and then as soon as you see the dragon flying, it just disappears, and you recognise that the spell has fizzled.
Damn it. Okay. Well, I guess we're not scrying the dragon then. I guess it was worth a shot. Shall we... What do we want to do? Do we want to rest for this evening and then prepare to head out again in the morning?
I think let's rest as much as we can. How long did it take us to get from where we were at the point at which we thought, oh, that army's going to be with us by morning, to get from there to here?
A good few hours. You were walking for quite a few miles. Through the sand, towards the city, towards the mountains, and then into the city and through. So yeah, it's pretty late at this point.
So we can probably ballpark the theory that we might be able to get in a long rest, or at least some of us might be able to.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose to get in a long rest if you wish to. That's not a problem.
Sorry, I think I had the other half of the sentence in my head. Before impending army arrives, we feel there's a good probability that long rest would happen? Or be achievable?
Your mind, from what Kylan was saying earlier, is either the army has to stop and it has to rest, in which case you've got time, or it doesn't have to stop and it keeps going, in which case it's going to be here very early. Not an exact science. You don't have any eyes on the position of them, but you know people who might. Maybe.
What if we went to the top of the tree? Like, that's hundreds of feet tall, isn't it?
It's also dark.
That would probably...
Kylan will go back down the tree, sandbag, and drop him into the sand. Can you track how close the army is?
And yeah, Sandbag stops and he disappears for a bit into the ground. And like a minute or so later, he comes back and says, "Can't see them underground. Can't hear them underground. Can't smell them underground."
They've gone?
Not making noise. Can't sense them. He looks at you. Is this a staring competition? You're supposed to announce it first.
How would I win then?
Let's go. And he stares at you.
Kylan scoops him back up into the bag and heads back up the tree to the others.
You just hear muffled mumbles from the bag.
Sandbag can't sense the army underground anymore. I don't like it.
Should we just have a stone shield?
I think we should go. Not knowing where it is, it makes me uncomfortable.
We should probably warn Stone Shield. Don't they have multiple underground tunnels and connections? And they would make a useful beachhead for an army.
Yeah. The other thing is, too, they've probably got a better vantage point than we do.
Let's go.
Okay. I guess we give thanks and for the to Mr. House for the brief use of his tree. Adria will pull out the token that she was given by Gardane.
Mm-hmm.
He said to think of us in the snow. Don't forget the snow. Think of it. Think on it when holding the token, and we'll see you soon. Do you reckon we all need to hold it? Or one of us holds it and thinks hard, and the others should hold on to them?
We could all put a finger on it.
Safer if we all hold it, I think. You know
Yes,
how
just-
tricky these magic items can be.
Yeah.
Yes, it'd be very unfortunate if only one of them.
Okay. Think of the snow.
Eldry looks very unimpressed by this, but does so.
Now you're all willingly going into this, so you don't need to make any saving throws. You get the sense of being watched. Very strong sense, almost as if it's a scry of some description. Something seems to be looking around each of you, and you look around and you can't see anything. It then disappears. That sense disappears, and as you're still holding on to the stone, you disappear into the stone. Each of you just dragged into it. You've been through this before. You know about this method of travel. It's not new. But what is different is when you arrive. You appear back in. Come on, work. There we go. That's it. Yes. A very cold and very dragonless environment. Busy dwarves walking around. Back where it all started. You see a dwarf. Oh, it's you. Welcome back. I'm glad we could see you, and I'm glad you're here. Now, can we get you a drink?
Did the others make it back okay?
Aye. Not too long before you look cold, by the way. You should put some clothes on. Not really suitable for walking about. Maybe think you're in a desert. Come on. Let's get you inside.
Okay. Choice of phrasing implying that Ildred just wants to run naked.
I mean, I've got, like, clothes on.
Aye, but they're not appropriate for the hillside. Now, let's get you let's get you some suitable garb before you freeze to death. And speaking of freezing to death, it has got a little bit warmer up here recently.
Oh, good. Hopefully the fight will stop trying to freeze everything to death now that the blue's gone.
Gone, you say? Aye, chance would be a fine thing. Anyway.
Oh no, we martyred it.
Curse out turns to the others. Those dwarves were with us when we killed that thing, right?
Yes.
Anyway, let's not stand here freezing various body parts off.
Alrighty, indoors. Drink.
Yes.
Garridan.
Long rest.
Drink and a war council.
Yes. War council sounds like an excellent idea.
And so you find yourself back in the tavern and seated down, warm, cozy, and strangely not amongst friends yet. You walk through to the last room. And you're meted by some awesome people who know how to speak properly. And they look up at you and say, "Hey!" And everybody turns round and says, "Look who it is! It's the conquerors of the dragons. Come in, get you a drink. Come on, sit here. No, come on, sit over here and tell us about it. Come on, everybody, gather round. Let's hear what they've got to tell us." I don't think Gardain knows exactly how he's saying that a whole dragon. I want to hear what really happened and not from that blowhard. Come on.
Alan just pulls out a tooth and slams it on the table.
There's a huge cheer around everybody.
Ildrid's watching the crowd as all of this is going on. She's curious to see if there's like any reaction that seems outside of that. Like maybe people aren't necessarily as impressed, or are just sort of a little bit. Maybe they're more observing what the situation is rather than necessarily participating in it, I suppose.
Yeah,
I'm not really.
Yeah, if there's anybody here that's doing that, then they're not showing it. Roll perception, but I mean, you can see that pretty much everybody here is totally into it. Yeah, everybody's into it. If there are people who aren't, then they're not here, and you know that you haven't got the entirety of Stone Shield here. This is just a fraction of the people. Of the dwarves that live here. And yeah, you begin to tell the tale of all that's befallen you over the last week since you left. You met with much drink. You met with food. Got some nice brews with ideas of perhaps striking a deal to take some of the more choice and tasty ales, brews back with you. All the other recipes. Yeah. And then you see a familiar face walks in. Gardain. Hey, well, you're back. Good to see you all in one piece. Thought you might have done something foolhardy, like try to take on the entirety of the approaching army.
I mean, some of us wanted to.
Ah, that's the spirit.
Elon glares daggers at Ildrid.
Good lads.
I'm sure the opportunity to fight will come soon enough.
Aye. Well. And everybody looks at this point. It quietens down a bit as Gardain begins to talk. We know what's coming. We've seen it. It's not nice, and it's heading right for us. These walls have seen off a lot more besides. We've already begun preparations. You eat your meal, drink your drink. And we'll be going through the night to make sure that nothing is getting past Stone Shield. And there's a big cheer at that point. This?
Don't know about past, but what about under? There's a second army in tunnels.
What? And he looks round at you. Are you saying... What are you saying? Actually, what are you saying?
There's tunnels under that desert, and it's full of another army. We don't know where the tunnels go, and we don't know where that army is anymore, except in those tunnels.
That changes things slightly. Yeah, and So Gardane looks around and he doesn't see who he's looking for. So he tracks down. He points at somebody. Go get me Hideth. Now, immediately. Don't even think about finishing that drink first. Yeah, go now. And the younger looking dwarf just puts the face on and walks out.
Gardane, have you got a large tree here?
A large tree?
A large tree.
No. But a bit further down the mountain, there's some pine trees.
Okay. That might be helpful later. Unless that token of yours happens to be multi-use.
And he looks down at it. No. We'll see you.
Okay.
So was that yes, it's multi-use? No, it's not multi-use, or something ambiguous?
Just keep it with you, and if you ever need to get back here on your travels, do what you did the last time. But just make sure you're ready for somebody to be watching, looking, finding, seeking. We need to know where you are before we can get you through, right?
So,
Speaking of watching, the observers.
Aye.
What are they doing?
Right now, they're keeping an eye on yonder forces coming straight out of the Sea of Dust and reporting where they need to.
Do they know what the army is?
We know what that one is, but we knew nothing about the other one that you just talked about.
We're going to be heading back to Nildra. Not now. Tomorrow. Unless there is a fan plus excrement combination happening before we leave. But the more we know, if there's anything that the observers know about that army that we can take back to Nildra with us, we can be better prepared. We, the wider organisation, for destroying the Sea of Dust.
Aye. Well, to be fair, we're not always entirely sure what we're looking at. But, fair to say, none of it's very pretty. We've seen things with demonic, like, we've seen shadowies flying in the sky. We've seen crawling beasts along the ground. And there's not just a few of them. There's quite a lot of them.
That does tend to be what an army is.
Not seen one quite like this. The forces of Nerul seem to have their work done. And whatever it was that cleared that space in that infernal maelstrom Well, that seemed to be their signal. But on the plus side, we can see them now. And we're counting every single one. Even if they are hideous to behold. It's a shame. If you were staying a bit longer, we'd take you up the mountain and you could see for yourself, but we'll give you what we have. Don't you worry. And you'll get back. But don't think for a minute that we're not distributing this ourselves, of course, but it won't do any harm for you to take it back to yours. Aye.
Thank you.
Crystal Mist Mountains have got a few tricks up their sleeves anyway. Now, hadn't thought about them going under right enough. But we're going to block the mines. We'll collapse them now. It's as good a time as ever. They were pretty useless anyway. I didn't want them walking up here. Aye, well, this might be the end of us, but...
How about instead of collapsing them now, you rig them, ready to collapse when the army's inside them?
Aye. Aye. Maybes. Aye. That would save us a bit of work, and maybe they're not even passing this way and we'll never see, hide nor hear them. The problem is that it would be easier to get to the lower. Aye, we'll collapse some of them and we'll leave them one way up. And if they come up this way, we'll drop the entire mountain on them. Ha ha ha! Yes. Let's do that. Alright. And another dwarf walks in. You haven't seen this. A death. Time's come, my friend. You've had your successes, you've made the most of it, it's worked. But we can't risk whatever's coming now, coming up here and getting a free pass. Make it difficult for them. Route them through the main shafts and get them ready. Get them ready to drop on their heads at the first sniff of anything that looks like it's made of a shadow or made of a piece of a demon's toenail. The death looks. Aye. I'm on it. Aye. Devil's toenails. Fuck 'em all. And he just walks off moaning and grumbling. The rest of the room are just staring, looking, watching. Somebody pipes up. I've finished, I'm off. Puts down the tankard. Big sturdy dwarf walks out. And slowly, one by one, each of the dwarves finish their meals. There's no laughing and cheering now. They walk out to begin whatever it is that they know that they've got to do. To defend their home. Not just defend their home, but defend one of the entryways into Keoland. Gardain
Is
looks.
Gardain... Oh, I was going... No,
He
go
looks
for
at
it.
you. He looks at you. He just looks at you. He just looks at you. Just turns around and stares at you.
Adri will pull out her warlock tome. Open it to the page with the list of names that she can cast sending to. She has one space. She hands him quill and ink, explains how the fast scribe aspect of sending works, and asks if he would like to add his name to her book so she can reach out to him at any point and check in.
Well, yes, indeed. And he begins to describe his full name on you, and as per your instructions. This will make it much easier. And quite an interesting combination. We'll be able to hear you and see you.
Be careful when you choose to see.
Don't worry. Stone Shield ensures that it's only used for matters of import. Like when you need to be drawn back here, out of the city. Incidentally, there was quite a lot of smoke coming out. You don't happen to know anything about that, do you?
There were caravanners coming through. Apparently there are still traders coming through the city. One of them had a fire. It got out of hand. Set fire to one.
A fire, right. Yes. It looked a little bit out of hand. Didn't burn down the tree, did it?
Nope, tree absolutely fine.
Good. Oh, interesting to hear there's still traders. Gives a little bit of hope. Huh. We might have to go down. Maybe once all this is over, see what they've got. That'd be interesting. I like it. Might both get this place going again as long as we can survive the night or whatever's next coming. Thank you.
Our Sandy friend. Perhaps we should find out what he wishes to do. Does he wish to come back to Neil Dara with us? Does he wish to stay here? Did we leave him behind in the treehouse?
Oh no, we have plans for him.
We or you?
Me.
Oh, sorry. Was the we Aldo and Kylon have plans for him?
Yeah.
Poor bugger.
Oh dear.
Don't worry, he's gonna love the redecoration of the pub.
Okay, well, I guess we can't ask the dwarves to run him home. Shall we?
Say, if he misses a library, there is always sand in Adri's library. Used instead of blotting paper, we've got buckets and stuff. He can't go exploring, but at least have somewhere to sit.
I'll be able to take him around. He can explore. He'll explore my pub all it likes. I'm going to redecorate.
I think I've seen wizard
Beach themed now.
cast some spell that lets these disky things float around. Maybe we could put one under the bucket for him to ride around in.
Yes. Oh, we still have to do that.
Well, are we going to spend the night or are we going to head back?
Do we all feel able enough to go into a fight? I know I'm good.
I feel fine.
I'm fully restored. Down a couple of spell slots, but not many.
Given how far we've walked, and everything that we have done today? She looks pointedly at Kylon. Being mostly digested. If we don't rest tonight, are we putting ourselves at risk of being exhausted tomorrow?
Possibly. However, I feel Neildra might need the help sooner rather than later.
There's probably potions we can get to deal with that too. Back in Neildra.
I'm sure we can clean up whatever it is before morning and take a nap.
I will go with the majority. Go home, stay and sleep.
I mean, push comes to shove, at least we can sleep in our own beds, assuming they haven't caught fire.
I'd make that bet.
Says the elf, who doesn't sleep at all.
Home now? Yes? No?
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel it's, if not ideal, the better option.
Gardane, we are taking our leave earlier than intended.
Well, sorry to hear that, but understandable. You don't need to worry about Stone Shield. We've lasted this long. We'll certainly be able to last a bit longer. But,
If we can spare the force, we shall send help.
I'd appreciate that. There's
Assist with the.
quite a lot happening down there, and yeah, we wouldn't be too proud to accept any extra bodies here. And some supplies, maybe.
I'll try and return too once things have calmed down a little bit and deal with healthy or vegetable gardens and things. I think I could probably bless those, but I don't think I have time to do it now. Which might help with the food supply thing in future.
Aye. Don't worry, we've got a future here. Well, shall I see you to our place of transportation?
That would be appreciated. Thank you, and thank you for your hospitality.
Hospitality and your help in getting us to the Blue Dragon and your assistance in the fight.
And I'll be coming back for some of that beer.
Aye. It's a good brew. And with that, you're taken through, back out into the cold. And down into an entirely cold and free.
Scare us like that, Croy.
And memories of the large beast hopping across the rocks spring to mind as you're taken down through and beyond to a location that you didn't quite see before, but there you're met by a dwarf who has already prepared the ground. And just before they complete the circle, they say, think warm thoughts this time.
Oh, don't worry, we will.
And the circle's complete, and you're ushered on, in that sense, for the second time already, of transporting far and wide. As you leave the cold behind, and you arrive in recognizable building, part of the den of your handler, Euphemia. Teapots surrounding you, wall to wall, a small halfling there, and she looks up and says, "Hi! It's good to see you. Beats writing. Okay. We've got a lot of talking to do and a lot of work to do. I hope you're not tired. Now, follow me. I have to introduce you again to some people who are quite keen to talk to you. You might know them. They're the king and queen. They want a chat. Let's go. Right now. Move."
But the pubs and the
And yeah, with that, the diminutive...
And I thought I'd get a good fight here.
The diminutive figure of Euphemia takes you out of her very busy shop and into the welcome streets. Not quite as busy as they might be, being that it's a little bit darker here on this side of the country. You've travelled far, and you find yourself away from the mountains that you started on. And far over, beyond the Deadwood, back in Neildra. Ready to take on whatever it was. But as you look back over your adventures, yeah, the mountains, the Crystal Mist Mountains. The Sea of Dust, you don't know quite what's going to happen next. But don't worry, you'll be getting plenty of action, Kylon. There's something wrong in the city. But before all that happens, you're ushered up and into the great halls in the centre of the town, of the city, for a royal audience. The guards stand by, let you past. And as you approach, people clearing their way for you. Hushed sounds. And the Queen speaks up and says, "Ah, the Shadowlings. We have some work for you. I hope you're ready for another adventure." And that's where we'll leave it. Always ready! And we'll leave it there. Always ready, she says. Yes, and she gets up and stands, walks down, shakes you all by the hand. And her husband stands up as well and says, "Yes, And they take you through to a room where you see a table of the kingdom and various figures arrested all around, standing there, and on top of the table, small figurines. They're preparing for war. And that's where we will pick up the next time we return to this group of adventurers. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Croy.
Thank you, Troy. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Well played, all.
A lot of fun, even though I didn't get to hit anything this session.
It's only way to defeat Kylon. Take away all his fun.